Returning now to Genesis chapter 3. The serpent, Lucifer, deceives Eve. She and then Adam partake of the forbidden fruit. Her seed, meaning Christ, shall bruise the serpent's head. Role of woman and of man, Adam and Eve cast out of the Garden of Eden. Adam presides, Eve becomes the mother of all living. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath God said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together, and made themselves aprons. And they heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God amongst the trees of the garden. And the Lord God called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, Who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? And the man said, The woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And the Lord God said unto the woman, What is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And the Lord God said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly thou shalt go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Now, well, I think I want to finish this whole chapter before I make too many comments. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. And unto Adam he said, Because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, Thou shalt not eat of it, cursed is the ground for thy sake, and in sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. Now I will pause here a moment. That's the basic story there. A couple of notes, just to say, we take this literally. The serpent originally either had wings or legs, because he's cursed to now go on his belly. In general, I can think they had legs, but most snakes do still have hips. It's an interesting thing. There's also this prophecy, it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. This is what is referenced when it talks about her seed, meaning Christ, shall bruise the serpent's head. Is that this is a prophecy of Christ and the atonement. Also, now we got the curses on the women, on the Eve, and the curse on Adam, except there's something interesting here. It doesn't actually curse Eve in any way. Just as he will multiply the sorrow and conception. See, before the fall, they couldn't have kids. There was no birth before the fall. Now that they have fallen, now that they are mortal, they are able to have children. And God is multiplying conception and sorrow, because not only is childbearing painful for a woman, but raising kids can bring great sorrow if they are not well behaved, if they are not righteous. And as we will see later, Adam and Eve had a lot of wicked kids. But another interesting point here is that Adam is chastised for listening to his wife rather than God, but he is not cursed either. Instead, the ground is cursed, forcing Adam to work more for his sustenance. Before, the trees would just grow. I mean, he was told to dress it, he did take care of the garden, but it wasn't intense labor. Now he's got to deal with thorns and thistles. He's got to draw the food out of the ground now. That's the curse. It's a curse on the land, not on Adam, not on Eve. I'm going to make a separate video talking about some of the things about Adam and Eve, because I think there's a lot of stuff that people, a lot of misconceptions, a lot of false ideas out there. So we'll talk about that in a separate video. Here we go. Let's continue. And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. Unto Adam also, and to his wife, did the Lord God make coats of skins and clothe them. So here we have the first clothing made from animal skin. So, of course, God had to kill the animal in order to take the skin from it. So those who say that we shouldn't be killing animals, shouldn't be eating them, all that stuff, right here, God kills an animal to use its skin for clothing. Anyways, and the Lord God said, excuse me, wow. And the Lord God said, behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good and evil. And now, lest he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever, therefore the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden, to till the ground from whence he was taken. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims, and a flaming sword, which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. So, one thing you want to note there, a lot of people outside the church, a lot of other Christians, will say that the serpent lied when he told Eve that she would be like God. But that's not the lie he told, because God himself confirms Adam and Eve, the man and the woman, are become as one of us. Note that, verse 22. And the Lord God said, behold, the man is become as one of us. The serpent didn't lie about becoming like God. What the serpent lied about, the lie of the serpent, was that they wouldn't die. That's the lie he told. He mingled it with truth, which is always the best lie. The best way to lie and get people to believe your lie is to tell them truth and slip in a little lie with it. Because then the truth makes the lie more believable. But like I say, I'll talk a little bit more about Adam and Eve in a separate video. See you in the next one.